Okay, welcome back everyone to a coffee break. I'm Ben Bicknell, your co-host.
And I'm Rowan Cook. I do things on the internet. That's our other one. That's for our main episode.
That's the full intro.
We don't need to do that here. We're just on coffee break. And we have Lee Ham.
Hello.
He's called Lee Ham because them thighs is so hammy.
Jeez.
Welcome to the deli. What cut would you like?
Oh, that is the Christmas ham right there. Meat Smith in Melbourne just got ranked as the best ham in Victoria.
Really?
But I'm going to say Lee Ham is the best ham. And I would serve that up to the entire family.
Merry Christmas.
A little strange.
Well, if no one can see Liam, he is a hearty man. Like, he is a thick unit. This dude is like CrossFit, big beef machine. He's training hard right now. If you ever get a chance to be embraced by him, it's quite an experience. He does full leg wraps. It's like an anaconda. Just like the air just seeps out of you.
Jiu-jitsu of love,
I think we need a break from our coffee break. It's getting hot in here. We're doing hot takes. No, it's
Okay. Also, this is just a random thing. We're talking about Christmas hams. First question. Are you know those people that like, if it's summer, they're like, oh, well, I could never have like a noodle soup because it's summer. And I'm like, no, man, I could have that stuff like a ramen, like whenever.
Yep.
So that was my first question. Great. We're on the same page. Second one, with your leftover, if you do like a big Christmas ham, just doing like the pea and ham soup. When you're done with like the bone and just throwing it all in, all those bits just fall off. And it's like, oh my God. And it's so weird. A lot of the things I do with the leftovers from my Christmas lunch or dinner are better. Like you do the pork belly, right? You're like, great, we did like pork belly. The next day, I like do like an Asian glaze. I do like a slaw, put it in like a little bowl. And I'm like, this is so much better than just the pork belly we had on the day.
Yeah.
Ham with eggs the next morning, the sliced ham, put it in the pan.
Ham?
Yeah, put it in the pan, just give it a little tss, and yum, make like a little,
We're getting hungry. I think we're getting hungry because we've just built up a hunger with all of this delicious coffee in front of us from an episode. We talked all about coffee cupping.
Yeah, we did. Look at Ben bringing it back around.
Just gone home, everyone.
I want to talk too much. Everyone out there wants to hear about my Christmas lunch shenanigans.
They do. So thighs, apparently.
Oh, who doesn't want to know? That's what you should do at your Christmas lunch when you have like grandma over and that. Just do a big cupping.
Yeah.
Just
great way to start the day and get through a long day of cooking.
Also, this is a little teaser preview for an episode we have coming for Christmas, where we talk, one of the things we might chat about is the best ways to make coffee over that Christmas period, whether it be hosting people, whether it be, when you go to the holiday house and you have the crap pod machine, you're like, surely I can be doing better. Yeah. We mentioned it on the last pod, but I'm just going to, it was a method before Hoffman talked about it. It's funny because I've chatted about it and everyone's like, that's Hoffman's method. I'm like, it's literally the basis for cupping. But do the cupping method with the French press. It is delicious.
Yeah.
Easy ratio of what were we talking about before of like to 160 grams to 1 liter. So if you have basically the French press goes up in like 250 mil increments or whatever.
Like a little 30 grams to 500 mils is a nice kind of like
15 grams to 250 for a single cup and that kind of thing. And it's easy. Medium kind of ground coffee in your French press, fill it up to whatever the ratio is, so a liter, then just leave it for 4 minutes, get a spoon, break the crust on the top, let it all settle for like 4 minutes, and you're good to go. People worry, oh, my coffee's going to be cold. No, thermal mass, people. If you've got a liter of water sitting in a jug, it can sit there for a very long time and it will still be like 70. I think we measured it after 8 minutes.
Yep.
So 4 minute brew, 4 minute sit. And it was still like 70 something degrees after all that. So it's like,
I love me a good French press, a little plunger.
Yeah.
I always thought that the crema on top, I treated it like espresso, like you never want to disturb it. Like you're going to ruin something or you're mixing through something you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But apparently not.
Saw us in our cupping demo of how to break that crust.
Sure. Need 2 spoons.
We didn't have the exact reference, but you were kind of saying like they've done measurements and when it falls to the bottom, the extraction or the TDS of the coffee would drop compared to if you didn't break the crust.
Yeah.
So it's obviously over extracting when there's more.
I did see some of that, but it's interesting and I still don't quite understand the science of it because we're sitting here in front of an array of coffee cups that have still got all the coffee in there and all the water, really. Why aren't they still extracting? They're still in contact with each other.
Well, the only things that I could theorize as a scientist is that less surface area because it's more compacted at the bottom. Whereas when you have layer at top, you've got more surface area, more extraction happening. There's probably also a layer that it probably is over extracted down the bottom. And we just have the properly extracted stuff sitting on the top from where you're taking the slurps from.
Yeah. How did you find the cupping? You've done cupping before.
Yep. I found it. I think the better thing about doing this cupping that I've done here, Jamie and I hosted one here a while ago when he was competing in the competitions, and we went through a whole kind of range from, it was a really beginner friendly one. So we kind of cupped our like signature blend, which was just like the barometer of like, A, it was an espresso roast. B, it's like chocolatey, brown sugar, maybe like a little bit of like red apple sweetness or something, you know? So it's kind of like a base layer. Then we had our filter coffee, which was a Colombian. It was like brown sugar, a bit of like stone fruit. Then we had a Kenyan that was like, oh, now we're getting into fruits and Ribena, black currant, all those kind of things. And then he had his competition coffee, which was kind of like what we did here with, we had this Lohas beans. It was like a big experimental process kind of thing. So I found those are kind of for beginners, I think the most exciting way to do a cupping. I've done other ones at roasteries where it's like, hey, here's 5 of our coffees, and we're kind of getting, that's for me, they do that with the general public. And if you're not a pro, the differences can be a little more subtle. You can definitely have them and go like, oh, that one's a bit more this and that. But I've seen beginners at those cuppings when I've been there, and they're just like, they almost get to a point where they think because they can't tell a difference, they feel embarrassed and they make fun of the process. I'm getting notes of coffee. You know, like, you know that response when people get like a bit caught off guard and don't want to seem stupid, and they're like, this is dumb.
Which is understandable, because I think, you know, that's what we wanted to do with the episode, is to really break down what is a coffee cupping and how can you do it. And it's actually incredibly easy and pretty straightforward. But, you know, there is sometimes if you go and do a public cupping, it can be pretty intimidating. There's a lot of people turn up at a cupping table and decide they need to show that they're really experienced by being loud and opinionated about what a coffee definitely tastes like.
Yeah.
It doesn't really encourage people to learn and engage with it.
I felt stupid in some of those processes there when we were kind of going through like the bouquet, and especially because we started on the lower end kind of thing. You're like, smell this and tell me what you're getting. I'm like, tastes pretty generic coffee, like nutty. It's like nutty, maybe a little bit of like chocolate. I don't know. And I felt kind of like stupid at the end. I'm like, I'm a coffee professional. I should have better things to like kind of say here. Because you do get caught off sometimes in those games. But that was my advice of like, just go in and talk and open, and that's how you be open about it. That's how you get better.
Yeah. And look, I think that would be my advice for anyone kind of going in and starting to taste coffees is, you know, have a think about it, try and go, what does it make you think of? And tapping into your sensory memories is incredibly powerful tool. You know, coffee tasting, actually the biggest thing that we can do is build up our library of references. So we're tasting and drinking everything out there and kind of going, oh, this is now a reference in my brain that I can go, I remember when I had that particular kind of pastry, that cardamom pastry, and now I've got that sensory reference.
I was going around Scandinavia and I kept on having these buns that were amazing. It kind of tastes like that. Yeah, that's a cardamom bun, you know.
Yeah. And then you can tap into that, and then you can describe your coffee as saying, oh, it was buttery, it was floral, kind of herbal, a little spice.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Now I've just completely blanked off because Liam's off on the side laughing. What were you laughing at?
The sensory memory being really specific.
It takes me back to this time I was in a helicopter going over Banff. I had 3 boogie boards on my back, and I'm pretty sure I had.
I remember when I was in Bali with a boogie board bag. We were on the plane. I was with my friend.
I was worried about being arrested, and I had all of that herbal smell. That's the Sumatran.
Oh my God, the Sumatran coming out there.
That musty
I remember
taste.
I did a wine tasting, I remember like ages ago. And I did the thing probably where I got embarrassed and, you know, was kind of making fun at points where someone's like, the wine instructor was like, smell the cup and tell me what you are getting from it. And I'm like, smelling it, we're going. And he's like, because for me, when I smell it, I just get lanterna. And he's like, lanterna. And I'm like, oh, mate, this thing reeks of Lantana. Like, just like, what are you saying? Like, be accessible in the way that you're talking about it. But then he also got from the, and I've probably brought this up before, the sensory memory thing of like, I was trying, I think it was just like a Savvy Bee or something, a Sauvignon Blanc. And I was just like smelling it and I was like, oh, whoa. Like, and I was quite young. I was like 19 at the time doing this course. Whoa. Oh, weird. And I'm like, I was like, tomato. I'm like, wait. And he's like, yes. And I'm like, wait. And I'm like, not even like tomato. Like, I'm like, it just takes me back to like the tomato bush, like the green tomato bush, like the leaf, like especially after my mum's just like watered it and you can just smell it. And he's like, yes, a tomato bush. Like he was so excited.
I should have been far more expressive in this cupping demonstration.
Oh my God, it reeks of a tomato.
Well, you can get that definitely in the coffee cups. But I think that you should
you're cupping something else.
But the point of sensory, like have those childhood, like nostalgic sensory, like memories that'll bring you so much stuff. And if you don't have them yet, that's why you have to completely do all these cuppings and all these trainings to turn them into a sensory memory, to turn it into like, oh, that's what that is. That become repeatable because on a global scale, that's how we all talk about coffee, having a similar language and way to communicate.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that a lot of people forget about how they taste and talk about coffee is that example. It's like if you're coming up with phrases and words that are really inaccessible to people to understand, then you're actually failing at your job as a coffee communicator.
And then I wanted to then flip this. So outside of cupping, I wanted to like people listening in, like, can you give them some skills beyond that of like picking up flavor attributes, picking up either faults or good things in coffees and ways to kind of descript them, whether it doesn't have to be cupping, just like drinking coffee in general. Like, for instance, what would be the kind of descriptive things in talking about coffee that you think people miss the most? Because like I would say if I'm speaking to like the general public, it's like, ooh, it's chocolatey, or like that's smooth, or that's bitter, or that's fruity would probably be the kind of like baseline of where people lay down their description.
Yeah. Look, I think that you can, if it's a great quality coffee, there should be maybe more complexity, which means there's more variation of flavors, or there's greater clarity.
Yep.
So if you use a description like fruit, okay, there's hundreds of different types of fruit out there. So when you say, okay, I think it tastes fruity, that's fine. That's great. And that might be all that's actually in the coffee is a generic kind of fruity flavor. That probably means it's not a particularly special coffee. But then you want to be asking, okay, is it a citrus fruit? Is it dried fruit? Is it more like a berry kind of fruit?
I love getting away with stone fruit because when people come to me, they're like, oh, white peach. I'm like, oh. But I'm like, I know just like that general like peachy, nectarine kind of vibe, apricot kind of thing.
And I think it's like we got to remember this is flavors that are coming from and within a cup of coffee. So it's not like you're literally eating white peach. They're just reminiscent of that style of flavor. So I think, kind of narrowing down, kind of asking what kind of fruit it is. If you say it's nutty, okay, go to the next layer. What kind of nut is it? Is it roasted nut? Is it raw nut? Praline, which is what? Caramel and nut?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got a compound descriptor there. But I think two of the things that I find people maybe not calling out enough, but they kind of know it's there. One is
here we go.
Old extracted coffee, so bad batch brew, right? This is coffee that sat there for too long in the batchy, maybe over an hour, hour and a half, or whatever your particular approach is, and it starts tasting kind of like a stewed character. It really loses its clarity. So it could still have acidity in body, but it's all getting a little bit murky.
See, I don't know how to describe it. So whenever I get to that point, I start going, it's like dusty. Like I don't know what it is. I'm like, there's just this like blurred, like not sharp cleanliness descriptive of flavor. It's kind of this muddy.
Yes. So I think some good descriptive words and experiences you'll get there is maybe muddy or murky and kind of stewed. It's like a stewed character where everything's kind of merging together. You're losing the distinctness of like, here's the acidity, here's the flavor, here's a clean aftertaste.
But see, when I think stewed, I'd start thinking more like that kind of fruit cakey, like raisiny kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep.
So this is where like the language gets hard on like, you might be like, oh, it's kind of like stewed. And I'm like,
Yep. Maybe muddy is a good one. Although muddy tends to elicit like an earthy kind of thing, like mud, right? So yeah, I think that's
that's where it's funny because like this is where the communication is there. To me, when I say muddy, if I was talking about a coffee, I would probably mean like either A, fines have gotten into the actual coffee,
so textural
and
thing.
it's texturally muddy, or the flavors are muddied up like it's a bit mixed and blended and icky.
So I think that in that second definition is what I'd say. Same for those over stored or older stored batch brew, right? So call that one out, have a look for it, taste it fresh. Actually, if you're a barista that's making batch brew, just brew it up, taste a little sip of it every like 15 minutes or something. Have like a little taste, go, where's it moving? This guy, Liam
has a question.
Not so much question, just more of a noticing. I think one of your superpowers or the things I've taken away from doing cupping for the first time is when we trialed like multiples of the same coffee, the presence of tasting, like as in of each sip. So I know it's a point to try, you're supposed to taste it when it's hot, when it's kind of warm, and when it's cooled down. And your ability to kind of completely shift your experience and be present for another take of the same coffee is something I would never do. Like after I've been like even with food, you've got a plate, I get like a combination of everything. I go and I'm like, amazing, I'll break it down, I'll be really present. And then I'm like, cool, I know every bite's going to be like that. And I kind of almost sit back. It's like I've only really been present for that first bit. Same with the coffee. I'm like, yum, delicious. And then I'm just going back for more. I'm just topping up that already thing. For you to go, like literally today we had a coffee where you were like, that is a Turkish delight. Then it sat, you went back and you were like, that is a tom yum soup. And I'm like, yeah, it is. But like I would have never have clocked that. I would have been searching for that first experience or that first kind of character I'd already created.
But that's correct as well. Like you're searching for your sensory memory reference point, right? And then if you don't get it, then you can start asking, well, why am I getting a mismatch? Is it because there's lack of uniformity in the cup, or is it because I stuffed up something in the preparation, or whatever it might be?
Yep.
But yeah.
Okay, now, and this one will put all the baristas and all the roasters, put some fear in their boots. People, your everyday listener, your coffee enthusiast is going out into a cafe. The mistakes have been made along the way.
Ooh.
What kind of thing are they going to be tasting? So I'm a customer, I sit down, I drink a coffee. That coffee is channeled. What am I tasting there? What kind of things would I experience with a channeled coffee?
Good question. So not quite cupping, but yeah, certainly still in the tasting kind of realm.
Sensory, you know?
Well, channeling is when, the coffee isn't extracting fully all the way through and probably over extracting in a particular rapidly flowing part of your coffee puck.
You know what's funny that I was reading about this with the idea?
Yeah.
Not only, like obviously the main one is a channel, a crack in the bed where water is coming through too quickly, but it's actually because there's like the two parts where it's flowing fast and flowing slow, you're getting both. You're getting over and under in the same cup.
It makes sense, yeah. It's like in the cup, I think with channels, I tend to kind of get like an increase in astringency. So like a bitterness that's like a little bit drying rather than just like kind of rough. So I get a drying character, and sometimes you lack a lack of sweetness. So it's often the balance is out that you get this kind of astringent bitterness, kind of an acid bitterness, probably from that over extraction that you're talking about. And then a lack of sweetness to kind of balance in the cup. Cool. What do you get out of it?
Yes, similar as we said before, muddy. The flavors, there's no clarity. The texture can sometimes be a bit off. And then, again, you're ordering.
Yep.
Let's say the cafe's run out of coffee. They've quickly got a last minute delivery. This coffee was roasted yesterday. It hasn't had time to degas. It hasn't had time to properly sit. I'm sitting down and I get my espresso and I have a sip of it with this 1 day roasted coffee. What am I tasting?
Oh, it's going to taste amazing. And that's how I started my coffee journey, was like super fresh roast coffee.
As fresh as you can get it.
Yeah. Well, it does depend a little bit on the roast degree and the coffee, and there's a lot of other variables.
Let's just say a standard like blend that you'd be getting for your milkies and black coffee.
Yeah, you'll tend to have a higher acidity with that really fresh coffee. So it'll be brighter on the back sides of your tongue, maybe a little bit lighter on the body, depending on what it is. But you can also get like a little bit of a powdery characteristic
I was going to say dusty. I get
Yeah.
like a powdery thing.
Yep.
Do you get more? I found from like because there's often more gas in that. I find sometimes the bitterness as well as the acidity is kind of a bit thrown out.
It's actually, from my understanding, that's a lot down to the crema. And
Yeah.
so when you make really fresh espresso, you're getting a lot of CO2 off-gassing in the extraction, right? It's really foamy. You get a lot of crema, which dissipates quite quickly,
Yep.
right? Or from all of that gas. And that kind of CO2 can give off that slightly powdery thing. It'd be an interesting experiment to actually skim the top of your espresso, take that crema off.
Yeah.
As quite a few people say.
Oh,
get
especially with
rid
the
of that.
fresh. Yeah, especially with the
fresh.
fresh would be interesting to try.
Too fresh, get rid of the crema.
Okay, let's go the other way. Let's say where the coffee, they're not going through it as quick. Sales aren't going well. The coffee is 2 months old, or maybe they're just leaving it out in the hopper every single night, full hopper, just, not storing the beans properly. What are we tasting?
Flat. So the acidity will be really reduced.
Doesn't feel alive.
Yeah, it's lost some of its vibrancy. So that thing where it really kind of lifts up and tastes juicy or well-rounded. What do you reckon, Liam?
I was waiting. Je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi. The tomato bouche.
Oh, no, not again. It'll be flat.
Yeah.
Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, flat.
And then
also we had another thing that people should look out for across the world, especially with fancy, expensive coffees that might not sell as quickly, is one that our recent guest Carlos Escobar called out, was old crop green coffee. So if a roaster is selling coffee that maybe was tasting good, yes, as Ron's doing now, eating our paperwork, you will taste a distinct papery, wet cardboard character, often in the aftertaste of it. And sometimes it's quite faint. Sometimes it's really, really kind of powerful and it's not very pleasant. That normally means that the roaster who has supplied the cafe is using green coffee that's just aged a little bit or is really kind of faded.
They're all great things. I think one of my big piece of advice of coffee is there are rules there to follow for a reason, right? But taste is the biggest thing. Once you're comfortable, I understand that if you're a beginner, that you get comfortable with, I've got my ratios, I've got where I should start. Please play around. Don't go, I put in this much, I got this much out in this much time, and I'm getting these characteristics that I don't like. Change it. Try cutting your extraction a little bit shorter if you're using a darker roast and, try to reduce some of that, the bitterness. Run it a bit longer if you need to extract more out of your lighter roast coffee. Try a different brew temperature. We had this Lojas, the Java Duo Cherry Velvet. We're brewing this at like 85, 88 degrees, not up in that like 96. It's highly processed coffee. Play around with those things. And use your palate to be like, again, I think we mentioned it, but Chris Mabry, when we're up at Beta, he's got his Eversys sitting there and he doesn't look at any of the parameters. He gets someone to make him the coffee, he tastes it, and then he tells them how to adjust. He dials in completely from his taste. No, this has got too much of that. Let's go cooler. Yep. And then sometimes they're coming back and they're like, man, we're brewing this at like 80 degrees or like whatever. And he's like, that tastes great.
Yeah.
So have a play around with that.
Yeah, know the rules first and then you know how to break them.
Yep.
And you can explore from there. And yeah, as you're saying, come back to taste, come back to the core elements of taste, of sweetness, acidity, bitterness, the body, and how those things change. Focus on one element at a time, right? Don't try and change everything or change one part. And then, follow what tastes good.
All right. We came into that and just knocked out 26 minutes of tasting.
Yes.
Thanks,
everyone for dialing in and listening again to our coffee break.
I love doing these like kind of, I know this is the coffee break, but these like 101 classes. We've done sensory, we've done cupping. I think we probably need to get into a brewing one next.
Yeah,
if there's a specific roasting one, well, I have zero experience with roasting, so that would actually be a great one. I feel like the 101s also lend themselves to really great YouTube video format kind of stuff. We've got an exciting YouTube project coming up in the new year. That's going to turn into a bigger part of the project, so that'll be fantastic. But let us know if there's any other 101s that you'd like to see. We've talked about roasting. I think brewing would be a great one. Espresso would be a great one. There's a lot to do. Write in, let us know what you want. We've had some people writing in, letting us know guest suggestions, which has been fantastic. We'll have some of them coming up in the new year. Please write into us if you have any suggestions at hello@itsjustcoffee.com. itsjustcoffeepod.com. That's hello@itsjustcoffeepod.com. We're on the socials at itsjustcoffee.pod or something. You'll find it. Just type It's Just Coffee. And yeah, we'd make sure to subscribe, honk that button for us, show the support. And we've got big things planned for you in 2026. And Ben, before we started filming, you said the easiest way to cup coffee is just to pour a little spoonful into your pants. Could you please elaborate on why that is?
What I said?
Yeah.
Is that what I said? Well,
Yep.
I actually don't know.
He's got nothing. All right, we'll see you next time.
Cheers. Thanks, everyone, putting up with this. I do it for you. Bye. Bring it home. Just bring it home. Can't stop it. Can't stop the beats.
Oh, dance it out, bro. Get it, yeah. Oh, he's going down the stairs. He's going.
I love. Oh, now I'm high, baby. Yeah, I'm really singing and I'm doing my dances. I got it. Yeah, we can turn that off for a second.
It's so weird tracking back from the high pitch. I love that the last part of that episode was just like, let's turn customers at cafes into
Like
the biggest
complaint
dicks
machines.
of just like, this coffee was actually, this was definitely channeled. This is actually old crop.
We're actually helping the
Oh my
Karens of the
God.
world.
I know I ordered.
Excuse me.
I
I'm
know
pretty sure this is both under and
coffee
over extracted,
Karens.
which means it was channeled. Be more careful when you're tamping.
I know I ordered a Rusty on the plate, but I didn't want potatoes in my cup. All right, see you later, guys. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a quick word from one of our sponsors, Apax Lab. Elevate your coffee experience with Apax Lab mineral concentrates. Apax Lab's precision-engineered formulas, including tonic, jam, and lilac, are designed to enhance the coffee's natural flavors. Not going to change it, it's just going to enhance it. It's going to bring out the vibrant acidity, the rich sweetness, or if you use lilac, it might bring out those delicate floral notes that you've been looking for. Trusted by world-class cafes and even barista champions, Apax Lab helps you unlock your coffee's full potential. Discover more at apaxlab.com. Wait, where was that again, Sonam?
The internet.
Oh, okay. Thought he was going to say the website. Thanks.
We put so much effort into our espresso, dosing, distributing, tamping, weighing. But then in so many cases, a cafe will just take whatever milk they happen to have available and throw it in and call it a day.
I know, and milk actually makes up 70% of all coffees ordered. So you could argue that great milk is just as important as great coffee.
Definitely could argue that.
Oh, I couldn't, I did.
Our great sponsors of the podcast, Riverina Fresh, have a milk that is made for coffee specifically, and it's used by some of the best cafes around the country and, in fact, world barista champion.
Yeah, this gold range that they actually have here was designed alongside a world barista champion to be richer and more indulgent to pair perfectly with coffee.
If you want to check it out, they are doing a sweet deal for Australian-based cafes, and you can get a free trial.
That's exactly right. You can get a free trial straight to your door. Just head to riverinafresh.com.au and see if your cafe is eligible. And why wouldn't you? Serve up the same milk as world barista champions. Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors at Eco Barista. The reason I sound like this is because they got massages at our stand at Mice, and so I'm getting a massage while recording this message for you. They're the best sponsor of the pod that we could have had. They have the best eco products. This probably sounds really pornographic, but it's not. I'm just getting a massage. They have the best eco-friendly coffee products. They got coffee bags that you can design yourself. They got cups, they got iced coffee cups. They got everything you need. So make sure to support them because they support us. Head to ecobarista.com.au and get 15% off your first purchase when you sign up. Oh, mama, that's good.